The Renegade Accelerator is open for enrollment. Female leaders, executives, founders who are asking themselves, why not now? This is for you. Head to renegadeaccelerator.com. I'm Amy Jo Martin. Welcome to the Why Not Now Show. We have Dr. Kenna Ducey-Clark on the show today. She is not only a renegade, she has renegaded her way through medicine and health, her own health, but also as a voice of authority from a chiropractor working with elite, athletes, high-performing athletes, and then pivoting. She looked at me one day and she said, Amy Jo, I'm about to change my life. And she did. She tells you the story. That was her why not now idea. She has started to integrate more of her traditional background with more functional, intuitive, different aspects of data that she's able to pull in and create quite the unique calculus. So she's helping women, high-performing women, find that X factor in their own lives when it comes to health. And it's not just the physical, it's also the mental, the spiritual mix of everything. And you look at someone like Dr. Kenna and seeing is believing because she shares her own health journey. And we talk a little bit about the fact that sometimes we keep things secret as women, not only our secret dreams and ambitions, but also when it comes to health. And we want to demystify that more and bring it to the surface. So without further ado, here's my friend. Here is a powerhouse, Dr. Kenna Ducey-Clark, who is the founder and CEO of HealthStyle by Dr. Kenna. Dr. Kenna, welcome to the Why Not Now show.
Thank you, Miss Amy Jo. So happy to be here.
So happy to have you here. And in the spirit of Why Not Now, can you tell me about a time when you had a big decision to make and you had to ask yourself, why not now?
Wow. There's been a lot of those times, I have to tell you. So my biggest why not now was it led me to you. It's the truth. It really was the truth.
I like this why not now.
I was wanting to write a book, and I had gone through a really challenging time, struggling with my health secretly. And I had a story to tell. And, I had been asked to join Renegade a few different times. And in a Heathrow airport, I decided that I was going to sign up for Renegade. And my husband said to me, are you sure this is the best time for you to sign up for this? And I said, if I don't sign up for it now, it'll never happen. I need to do this now. And ironically, that was several years ago, and now the book is coming. So my why not now has recircled, and this amazing book, the book that I really think I was supposed to write, is starting to get down on paper.
And what I love about this is you've launched a company between that has so much of an anchor for the book. Like sometimes what we think, you start moving in that direction and it just starts serving you up exactly what you needed. But I remember getting that note from you from the airport. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this woman, you're getting ready to fly back over to America, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. And thinking, okay, what an interesting background you had. Mm-hmm. And you could feel like kind of that intensity. She must be very serious. Mm-hmm. But then we met in mm-hmm. person. Mm-hmm. And you want to share a little bit about just your experience of, there was a sense of urgency and also timing that seemed to land for you. Mm-hmm. And I bear witness to the change and the amazing, taking action, but listening loudly mm-hmm. to what you felt you needed. And even you physically look different. You mm-hmm. feel different. Mm-hmm. And what you've even done for your own health. So take us through the movie trailer from then on. Yeah. We're kind of there in Austin.
Yeah. So when I was in Austin, I was getting ready to have a very, very big surgery and still, once again, keeping it secret because high achieving women are conditioned not to be human. And I worked in pro sports. I had Olympic track athletes in my former clientele. And I definitely was not going to let them know that I was having a human moment. But when I arrived in Austin, one, it was my first experience of really being in a collective of women that were like-minded. Even though we were very eclectic and very different, I
It's a
had,
mosaic of misfits.
oh my
Powerful
goodness,
misfits, but
but it was like eye-opening and it was also very intimidating. My profession was the arena that I was in for a very long time was so male dominated, and I was a little uncomfortable being around all these women. I was used to being around all these men, but something was happening in me when I was going through that weekend. One, even though I was waiting for this big surgery, I was really infused with an aha moment. It was like, I need to do something different. I really have a calling that's much bigger than writing this book. I don't know, something just happened in me that snapped. Whereas like I'm doing a pivot here. I'm doing a very big pivot. And I think that I am going to reinvent my career because everything behind me is leading up to this moment, even this health crisis that I'm working through. I know so many other women are experiencing this. And I felt this calling that just said, Dr. Kenna Ducey-Clark, you're going to have to get really uncomfortable right now because everything that you've been doing up to this moment is why you're here.
yeah, I get chills because I remember you kind of leaving Austin. I think you were headed to the airport, shutting the door, and you like eye contact. I'm about to change my life. And it was just like, I get goosebumps.
Yeah.
And holy buckets, you did. And you are. And now you're changing a lot of other lives. And I love what you just said. We use that term pivot a lot, and we have over the last, 5 to 10 years. But there is a potency at the moment that I'm visibly witnessing, and I think you are too, of women who, a lot of which have been in maybe corporate. And what they're saying is, what I really want to be doing is, or they're done with the motivation by fear. Their health has suffered. And they kind of have that, we call it professional goal, professional and personal, where they think it's personal, but it's actually, it's professional. It's just more of like a secret dream or wish that's now, they're not dreaming and wishing anymore. They're taking serious action about it, but their health comes first, like we keep saying, right?
Absolutely. And women's health is broken right now.
It is. It's so broken. I mean, I have felt it and seen so much progress, but you're right.
It is. And that's the part of, my story that led me up to that point. Even my struggles as I was trying to advocate for myself and get answers when I was having this health crisis, I had a voice of authority. I was a doctor. I understood the system. And I can't tell you how many times I looked at my husband and said, how do normal people survive this? And I really understood they don't. But going into like where I am, a high achieving woman, you're a high achieving woman. We're driving ourselves. You mentioned the word secret. I mentioned the word secret. Why does it have to be so secretive that we're taking care of ourselves in a holistic manner? And it's because, our society dictates that we have to do it all. And that's great. it's kind of like you can have anything, but you can't have everything. So we can do it all, but we have to prioritize what our all encompasses. Does that make sense? Like,
for sure. And I think it's this false narrative too of what that looks like for everyone. We do define. They say you can have it all, and that means doing it all, as we say. And then we do, and oftentimes we run ourselves into the ground. And we're still doing it. But now there's this reckoning of not only redefining what your all looks like, but how that looks and how that comes to be. And it centers around that time, health, and wealth. But if we don't have our health, who cares about time or wealth, right?
yes.
And so you have this background of working with high performance, high octane, world-class athletes. And what I love about this is that now you're working with women who they should be training and treating themselves as athletes, right? Because athletes, they perform on on the court or on the field or wherever for a finite period of time, but then they're training and relaxing, doing all the things they need to do. But it seems like with women, we're on that performance for sometimes 8 to 12 hours a day. And it doesn't add up, right? So can you talk a little bit about how you mix your former world with this new, I would say it's like a cauldron of you've got all these different skills that don't typically go together, but that's your magic and your X factor.
Absolutely. So I champion for champions. I mean, that's what I do. Like, I'm the superpower in the back that people don't see. And that began in my career where I just accidentally fell into sports medicine. I'll just, I had some talent and the words kind of spread. And the next thing I knew, I was doing that. And I was integrating, even though I was in the world of physical medicine, holistic health was my passion, was my expertise. So I was already integrating physical, emotional, and inner well-being health together. And when I made the decision to pivot, I wanted to champion for women. I kind of felt like, I love my career, my past career, and all my patients I took care of, but I was like, I'm going to go play for my team now. That's how I felt.
I love it.
And just going firsthand, like driving myself off the cliff. I literally just pushed myself off the cliff because I wanted to keep delivering at the, very intense level that I always had done. And it was a really hard lesson because I was benched, Amy. Like, I could not get off this bench. And that's when I realized, like, I really need to help women like myself never get to this place. So what I can say is when people come in and work with me, most of the time they're coming in with physical complaints or they just want to biohack or extend their runway. They're worried about aging quickly because what does stress do? It actually accelerates biological aging. So, these women that are pushing themselves beyond their physical limitations are really accelerating their aging. And we're worried about that runway shortening for us.
Yeah.
But I really assess what's going on in their emotional health, and I look at what's driving them. What is that spark saying to them, their inner well-being, their soul, their spirit, whatever you call it. And what I find is that even these high-performing women, they're usually giving 1 or 2 buckets all of their attention, but there is one bucket of health that is completely being ignored. And so I have to come in, I have to really get really clear about what their goals and concerns are because most people don't know. Like we just have to I have to really pull it out of them.
The secret goals.
Yeah,
too,
the secrets.
Right?
The
There's
secrets.
your published goals, and then there's what I really want to do.
Exactly. And then also, I know that us high-performing women don't like to hear this. Give them permission.
Yeah.
I give permission all the time for people to be human and to get over themselves. Like, just tell me what's really going on so I can really help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even just getting to that point for women, in some cases, the guard is up.
Ooh.
And even we think that is my goal. That's what I've said. That's what I should want. And so probably just digging to that level is a job in itself, right?
Yeah, it literally feels like I'm taking one brick at a time down. And I always know when I get to the sweet spot when I'm working with my clients, and it's like pay dirt. Like it just, I get such a high because, oh my God, I've gotten to the root cause of this. And a lot of times it's not physical. There's some kind of emotional drive or something that's happening, but then all the pieces fall together. And God, what a different world it would be if we approached health that way. That we were looking at it, not just the physical stuff, not just the physical symptoms, not just treating the symptoms, like really diving down and finding out what began this, domino effect.
I think when I was able to witness how you operate when our fellow renegade Stephanie was running the 147 miles in one, like at a time, right? In one shot. And I'm there, and you played a role in, we all watched this happen, and you kind of don't know what's going to happen. She had run 50 total, and you can't train for longer, right? You're going to get hurt. And so she had pacers coming in, and I go and pace for a little bit, and then we're rotating. And your role, obviously you have your background in what you do, like it's very clear. But there was this aha for me where I'm like, oh, she's working every data angle, because we were constantly asking ourselves, is stuff okay? Like, when do we meaning like there was like 30 or 40 of us, I think, that were tracking and helping pace and watching play by play. But like, when do you step in? And you were kind of this anchor for all of us. Like, Dr. Kenna, it's not just physical. Like, what's going on? How do you feel? Is she safe to keep going? Not that anyone would have ever tried to stop her necessarily. Maybe you or Ben. But I think that's when I was like, okay, your data sets and your intuitive side, and we're both data-driven, science leaning, but also highly aware of that mental, physical, emotional data. That's when I was like, wow, she's multifaceted here. Can you talk a little bit about that weekend and how, there's the nuts and bolts of what you do for a body, but how you were, assessing her mental state, her spiritual, her emotional. Yeah.
Well,
So
147 miles. When I was telling friends and colleagues about that, what was coming in that weekend, what I was going to do and help, they didn't even think that was possible. And I want to say that most of them kept saying, oh, him, he. And I was like, oh, no, this is a she.
Like a super she.
Yeah, a super she with the highest energy ever that, if we could just bottle that, the world would be healed in a minute. Okay. So anybody that's doing ultra races, Ironman, their self-made 147-mile marathon.
By themselves.
This is really emotional and spiritual. There is a point where they're disconnecting from their body in a way that most humans don't have the capability of doing. And so, her first marathon, which, she told me this was several marathons that she ran in over a weekend. She told me, oh, don't worry, just show up at the end of my first marathon and do a check on me. And
that no one ever.
Yeah,
Except for super stuff.
And she really, that's when I had to step in for the physical component, was in that one moment. She was dragging. She was really excited and she didn't sleep well the night before. And when she came after that first marathon, she was really just having some problems. And that's when I had to assess. And it's the wonderful thing of, NAC, which is the precursor for glutathione. We just said, oh, let's just, have a little amino acids here. And that girl, she perked up and away she went for the next two days.
I remember the 100-mile mark, though.
Oh, yeah.
So I was fortunate and honored to cross that threshold with her and see everyone. And you pulled her, and she would stop, and get her fuel, but you two stepped aside. 100 miles.
Yes, stepped aside, and we had a talk. And that was when I was really assessing where she was at. I was looking at the emotional component. How was she feeling? I was also assessing, is there something that I need to be worried about right now? And then did, my physical check. But that's when the spiritual component of her race really began. She needs to talk about her own experience, right? But for me, as being in the role of being the guardian to make sure that she was protected, that's when I saw something like transfer. There was an exchange. And then it was a totally different role that I had to play for the rest of that run.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Female leaders, executives, founders, heads up, the Renegade Accelerator is open for enrollment. Renegades are at the top of their game. They're doing all the things, but usually there's something that they really want to do. What you do is you bring your why not now idea into this 8-week program. We're focused on curriculum, the Renegade mindset, collaboration, and accountability. We are all focused on growing our thought leadership, finding more time in the day by leveraging our presence. So it is present even when we are not. We are focused on optimizing our time and money and health. It is a mosaic of all types of women from different backgrounds at the top of their game, and the value exchange is exponential. Here are some why not now ideas that have come to life through Renegade. Why not now write the book? I want to get a board seat. I want to increase my speaking fee. I want to build a company. I want to pivot from corporate into entrepreneurship. I want a promotion within corporate. I want to move my brick and mortar company online so I have more freedom. I want to travel 25% of the year, but not see a dip in income. Those are a variety of why not now ideas that have been greenlit. They're done. What is your why not now idea? We're ready. If you're ready, head to renegadeaccelerator.com for more information and to apply. I remember seeing that. I felt safer for her because you were there, not just because you knew how to take care of her body, but it was like there was just this insurance. It felt, I almost get teary because it was an emotional experience for me to witness what she was going through, and then to have people bring their gifts to help just anything we could do. But I want to take it now back to the normal people.
Okay.
And apply that to how you apply that. You mentioned spiritual. I don't know, I'm like emotional here because I think that piece, and whatever that means for anyone, I know for me, if I dip in and out of that, I'm prone to, anchoring and then getting that, big next hit or big long stride. And sometimes it starts to dwindle and you don't make it as much of a priority. And then you're like, oh shit, I left that back there. That's what got me here. But how do you integrate that with medicine? Because I'm in a place in my age where that is sleep and my spiritual practice, as much as it's ever evolving, probably my two biggest levers. And that feels so, sometimes people feel that that's just so fluffy, but it's like, no, that's for me, that's, look at me, like tearing up. Maybe it's all the South by like running around. But waking up this morning, we've been going this
Yeah.
last couple of weeks, let alone
Yes.
yesterday. And I feel energized. I know I'm low on gas. But before I would just plow. And now I know like I'm good because I'm going to turn it down. But how do I hear that and feel that? It's my higher voice, you know?
Yeah, it's your higher voice and the fact that you're listening, because most people don't listen. They don't know how to listen. That's one of the things that I do with my clients is I teach them how to body check, do a body scan. What I practice is alternative health. I'm not practicing medicine. I'm a health coach. So, I'm coaching people and I'm advocating for people and using all of my tools in my toolbox to get the most out of what they need to get out of themselves. But, just going through this weekend with you at South by Southwest, it's interesting. We both made the decision to stay in one night because we needed to.
I would have never done that years ago. Like, yeah.
No, I wouldn't have either. But here's the great thing as you're, leveling up in life and you're wanting to extend your runway is you start prioritizing some self-care and not really caring about what other people think in a very, polite way, and making choices of like how you're going to exert that energy. For me, I just don't like feeling depleted.
Yeah.
And I get really upset when I drive myself to that point where I just have to stop. So I'm very in tune with my body and my physical needs. Sleep is my superpower. I guard that like a crazy person. So many women think that it's a superpower that they don't need sleep. But sadly, they will eventually need sleep because that's where our deepest cellular healing happens, is when we're in deep sleep. And, I have absolutely no judgment of how people get to that place for sleep. The drug of choice for sleep for high achieving women is trazodone, and it's non-forming. It's like a non-addictive forming. It's very readily prescribed. But my goal is always to get my clients to a place where they don't need that anymore. And we have to do a lot of training to get them to trust that they're going to have the ability to turn off that chatter in their brain, to create those healthy boundaries where they're not attached to their devices, and to do some kind of wind down ritual so that they can sleep. But it's hard when you're on the road all the time. You're a lot of time zones, a lot of high pressures. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so with like I'm thinking of all your your data sets in your dashboard and how you're assessing individuals. What questions do you tend to ask them to get down into like under the hood, not just you're doing the medical and the blood work in the lab, like you're assessing all of the black and white data, but then to get down into, things that they maybe haven't tapped into that they could use, and or for you to have insight into their how much they're listening, intuition or not. Like, how do you even dig in there?
With a lot of precision and patience. So one of the things that I do is, I have the set model, but I'm not afraid of breaking away from it. I am highly intuitive. So if my intuition says that I need to slow down and go slow with somebody to, get to through whatever I'm looking for, I will. But my intake forms are very detail oriented and long, and just onboarding with me makes people stop and have to take time for themselves to write all that information. It's interesting. Some
It's
people,
good for you.
yeah,
Are you serious or not?
yeah, exactly. Some people are like, skirt through it. And I'm like, and I'll warn them, like, this is going to take you a minimum of an hour to fill out. And then you have to go collect all your labs and get them to me. And then you have to do a food, fluid and bowel movement journal. And then you have to fill out this aging questionnaire. So they've already invested the time, they've invested the money to sit down, and then I prepare them. This is going to take a lot of energy when we do this intake because I start asking questions that no other healthcare professional has ever asked them in detail and depth that they've never experienced before.
They probably feel seen.
Yes.
Yeah.
So many people do not feel seen, definitely do not feel heard. And I would say that's one of my superpowers is I really see and I really listen. Like I want to understand whoever I'm trying to help. And I come from a place of equanimity. I'm just completely neutral. I have no judgment. I want to figure out, like, who are you? What are your pain points? What are your goals? And how can I get you to arrive to the new you that you want to be? How can I help you be your best self?
Love that. I love that. Can you take us back to when you were beta testing you knew you had all these things and you'd been doing it, but you hadn't really crystallized it, right? And you throw out to all of Renegades like, hey, does anyone want to join this beta? And I loved how it was really wise because that's your target demo, high-performing women. And it was pretty cool to witness and watch how it informed. But then you just all of a sudden, it was like, boom, company, growth.
Yes. That was a surprise because that beta was a true experiment.
Yeah, like we do. That's what we talk about all the time.
Just like, hey, I'm going to do this little thing, and do you want to let me work with you a little bit? I had no idea what I was doing. I was just like, okay, let me piecemeal some things from my old clinic and put it together. And
you had no idea, but you knew you knew.
I did.
You had no idea, but you had every idea. You just hadn't crystallized it into, it's interesting how that.
Yeah. It's just such a clinician thing because everything is like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We have our methodology, and I was just completely in a new realm and reinventing. So I did know. And I hand-selected different women from the collective and talk about like a diverse group. And every single one of them that I asked said, yes, I want to do this with you. And were really relieved that I was asking them, like it was perfect timing for them. And the next thing I knew was somebody asked me that I would to put something together so I could present it to their board so the board would pay for them to work with me in the next year. And that's when I realized I had actually invented a company. And I was in this rocket ship, and it really felt this way. It was so crazy. I mean, Joe was like, okay, I'm in this rocket ship, and I'm actually building the rocket ship, and I'm like entering a new galaxy that I don't even know where this galaxy is going to take me. It was so exhilarating. And I use that word exhilarating with precision because it was like, oh my God, I was so excited. And then I was also terrified at the same time.
Yeah. You're in a rocket ship.
Woo!
That's fast.
Yes, fast. And it was uncomfortable. It's very different from where I was, January of 2024 or October of 2023 to March of 2025. Like I have traveled through multiple galaxies and I am now comfortable.
And there will be the next galaxy and the next galaxy.
Yeah.
That's what's so fun about this.
Yeah.
But we're entering, this is something we were just talking about at South by Southwest together on stage yesterday. And we have over the next 5 years a wealth transfer that's happening. $30 trillion shifting hands into women's hands.
Yes.
And that's a lot of power, a lot of influence, but it's also a lot of ripple effects in other industries. And when we look at that, and that's, currently we have a third of all global economy being really controlled by women. In 5 years, it will be one half. So what does that mean to you in terms of health? And as you think about the ripple effect into the world of functional medicine, of people taking offense, people demanding more answers, it's got to be a really positive sign, I would think, and signal for you that this is not only going to make more wealth, but hopefully that investment and those dollars flow into our health.
Yeah, we could only hope, because women are so highly underserved in traditional healthcare. And, this is my time, my arrival, because when I started HealthStyle, my why was impact. HealthStyle by Dr. Kenna was about impact. Like, how do I make a societal shift in a species? All women. I want all women to engage with their health and care for their health differently. So as we have this wealth transfer, this is perfect timing for me to be out there helping these women. I mean, they're going to need help no matter what. It is going to impact research, hopefully. Hopefully, women will be included in research more than they have. I mean, my goodness, we weren't included in clinical trials until the early 1990s.
Yeah, ridiculous.
So many women do not realize this. And I'm just like, wake up. We're in the back seat. Like, our labs that we get, those ranges that you see, those ranges are based on male blood, not female blood. I mean, I'm just like, okay, well, I'm sorry. I'm just believe in science. And I'm
FDA
like,
tested things for men, not necessarily,
yes,
like testosterone.
I'm just like, hello, like, how did this happen, ladies? We're driving consumer spending. Now we're getting ready to, even the playing field out in 5 years. We need to get empowered when it comes to our health, because without our health, nothing else matters. No. It doesn't.
No. And one of the things we've talked a lot about is most women need to create time to even think about their health, let alone take action. And that means making some choices. It's cost benefit analysis, but it's very real. And it just kind of, we'll get there. Oh, yeah, we'll just try and get more sleep or whatever. And it's like, no, this is actually should be A1 on the priority list. Mm-hmm. That's why we need more women doing what you're doing, which is very, very unique, but at least the message on more stages, on more cap tables, on more boards, sharing your voice and thought leadership. And I know that's been one of your current why not now moments, or why not now ideas, goals, is to start sharing more and building your platform, which we love at Renegade. That's what we do. Yesterday was really, really cool to see you shine at South by Southwest. And I think, how did that feel for you? And what do you think the next steps are in growing and building that side of your thought leadership?
So the goal has always been thought leadership. So, that's where I'm going. If you asked me what I said when I was on that stage yesterday, I would probably be able to repeat like 5% of it. But what I can say is I got a crowd applause from a really tough crowd. And my crowd applause was about my why not now idea, which was writing this book that I wanted to write, which was talking about the toxicity that women are up against. And where I really got the applause was that I said, I don't want to just talk about the pain points. I want to create solutions and help people drive in that direction, because I think we're fatigued of just feeling the negativity. There's something that negativity feedback loop that we have in our brains that we naturally, can get stuck in. But I'm all about replacing fear, replacing negativity with empowered data and solutions that make people well, get them connected to hearing those signs, those signals in their bodies, knowing the steps to optimize what their body needs, and getting them connected to their joy. Like, joy is a part of health. This is a data point. Like, people that are living for a long time, these people are joyful. These people are not sitting there sweating the small stuff, worried that they, have a little bit of cellulite on their thigh or their nail is chipped. These people are living authentic lives, and they're living lives that are connected. And this is a part of health. And somehow we have gotten into a place that health is about going to the doctor, getting your checkup, and being told that everything's great. But really what that means is, well, everything's fine now until it's not fine. And that is not proactive. That is not optimizing. That is not helping people understand how their body functions. It definitely isn't addressing their emotional state and what's going on in their soul.
Well, and it's, I think, seeing is believing. And so for you to be out sharing through the book, through on more stages, podcasts, we have to be talking about the real, and obviously the solutions. But the approach is, that's where I've seen the biggest need, right? Of what does that formula look like? It's not how we've always. And it's just so exciting. So I am beyond grateful, to have you as a friend and have you as a colleague and someone a thought leader that I get to learn from, and we get to exchange, value, and all of Renegade, is as well. I'd love to do some rapid fire.
Oh, cool.
Are you ready?
Oh, yes, I am.
Are you ready? Okay.
Okay.
What keeps you up at night?
Nothing.
I
do not. If I feel myself overthinking, I basically tell myself, there's nothing you can do about this right now, and you need to go to sleep.
I love it. What, other than sleep, what is the first thing you do when you are feeling you need a boost? You're lagging on the energy and just rest side.
So two different things. Exercise for me is, I need it in such a big way. That's my therapy, is exercise. But also that essential amino acid, NAC. My body really responds well to that. And, I just make sure that my supplementation is balanced. I recognize where I am. I mean, I am a biohacker, and I'm leveled up. So at this level, I really need to use supplementation to help me stay boosted.
Yeah. Which isn't a whole nother amazing
Yes.
area of confusion for, I looked at all my supplements the other day, and I'm like, okay, which one's working? Which one's not? When do I take?
Yeah.
Is this one canceling this one? It's like marketing. We know half of it's working and half of it isn't, but we're not sure which half.
Exactly.
And that's where you
I
come in
come
once
in.
again, because it is expensive and and you don't know. Okay. So what is one thing you keep learning over and over?
That love rules.
Ooh.
Yeah. Love rules. I've lived a really big life. It's been a really interesting life. But ultimately, love really rules.
That's awesome. Pirates or ninjas? Who's tougher and why?
I think ninjas are. That's such a great question. Ninjas, they're a little more into precision, and there is a lot of practice to become a true ninja. And there's also that zen that ninjas have, where pirates are, they're a little messier, you know? They're just going for it.
I think I'm a pirate aspiring to be a ninja. Maybe I'm half and half. Maybe that could be a thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a mullet.
I'm definitely a ninja.
Ninjas on the front.
I'm a ninja. I'm
or
not
maybe
a pirate.
ninja in the front, pirate in the back. That would be a good combo.
Yeah.
So when I say the word renegade, what comes to mind?
Disruptor. But in such a good way. Positive disruption. My goodness. I've been a renegade my entire life. And I think renegades, I say love rules. The thing that I really see with renegades is there is heart that is in this process of being a renegade. There usually is a really big why behind being a renegade. And, I'm really proud to be a renegade. I really am.
That makes me proud to hear. You said something recently. You said, it's unique to have a group of women who are from all different backgrounds and disciplines that have such a high emotional intelligence. And that really, it clicked for me because you're extremely accurate. Of course, they're intellectual. They're at the top of their game. But I think that's one of the underlying themes attitudinally as well. So.
Absolutely. I feel like, when renegades are together, either, in a local spot or on Zoom, it's like, we have these little antennas that come up and we're all like talking in a little different way. But really, I say that in a heartfelt way. We are able to communicate at a very high emotional level. And I think that we're really happy to be around like-minded people and that we understand one another.
Yeah.
We really do. And it's nice. It's a nice collective.
Yeah, the guard kind of comes down. The ego is checked. I appreciate it as well. Well, if we could go back to, Dr. Kenna, at the point where you were shifting, actually deciding to take your successful clinic and career, and that was a cost benefit analysis. There were some, I can imagine, if you were to go back and share a few words with her in that moment before making that decision, what would you say?
Well, I was Dr. Clark then. So Dr. Kenna would tell Dr. Clark that she just needs to get out of her own way. That really everything that you've been doing for the last couple of decades has been working towards this unknown, crazy career pivot that you're going to do. And you're so lucky to be married to a husband that is going to support you in following your passion and your destiny.
Props to Dawn.
My goodness, Dawn Haas, you rock.
Go Dawn.
I just go home and I'm like, hey, I'm not going to reopen my clinic. And he's just like, what? I'm going to pivot into this whole new field. Okay. All right. I trust you.
Let's go.
Let's do it. And And so I have a lot on the line. I have a partner who really trusted me, and I don't let people down. So I'm not gonna let him down. Not gonna let Dr. Clark down. I'm not gonna let my clients and my patients down. I'm really ready to deliver.
I love it, and you are. So thank you for being here.
Oh my goodness, Amy Jo Martin, thank you.